All right, so I think I'm gonna stand for this video, try something a little different. Hopefully it works out and look, it's probably not gonna look that great being the basement and the lighting and everything in here, but we're a bunch of dudes for the most part, so who cares? So about 2 weeks ago, I woke up feeling like shit. I expected my normal routine when I woke up that morning, but what I didn't expect was waking up in so much pain that I couldn't even leave the bedroom. So this wasn't an injury from working out. There was something else going on, and that I eventually saw a doctor for. And because of this, I was forced to stop everything until further notice. So for 1 week, I quit working out. And it wasn't that long, but a lot happened during that time. So now during this rest period, I never lost motivation. However, some other things started to happen, and that made me realize just how delicate something like a short-term break can throw you off into the deep end and potentially wreck progress. Something was wrong, and I had no choice but to shut everything down. One day I'm locked in to my schedule. The next day I'm stuck in bed trying to figure out what's even happening. And when that happens, your mind begins to mess with you. So this was no longer just a physical, but became very mental. So I couldn't train, I couldn't move much, and I didn't know how long this was going to last. Luckily, it was only 1 week. So I couldn't imagine some people out there with much deeper issues where they're struggling for a few months. But once the workout stopped, everything began slipping. I was already in pain, so now my sleep was off. My normal daily structure was gone, and I'm finding myself starting to sleep in and skipping the little habits that normally keep me steady, like taking my creatine or my vitamins and other supplements. And then that's when the other thoughts started kicking in. I started thinking, if I can't train, what's the point of eating clean today? I'll fix it once it passes. So I started indulging snacks, cakes, Cheez-Its, candy, you name it. I was eating it. Your boy was going absolutely ham. Fuck it. That's when I realized a short duration like this quickly turns into something much bigger. And that my routine was extremely fragile. Luckily, being fairly self-aware, I caught this drift fairly quickly and I pumped the brakes. So by the end of day 2, I pretty much halted everything. You see, I noticed that when one thing breaks, suddenly everything else feels optional. So at this point, I am now fighting pain, uncertainty for how long it'll last, and my own bad habits all at once. My wife had to step in more than once and remind me that you can't work out right now. If you do, it's going to make things much worse. And pushing it isn't what you want to really do. So don't tell her this, but she was right. Because the real danger in moments like this isn't missing the workout. It's derailing my whole entire structure that I've created. What I learned from this is that when your days lose shape, your discipline starts to leak in other areas. So at this point, you might be asking, what did you do about this mental battle? Well, once I gained control of those reins again, and I hit the brakes, I decided that instead of just sitting my ass around and waiting to feel better, I'd make myself a little bit more productive in a different way. So because I had extra time to sit around and think, I began to reassess my training and the accomplishments that I had achieved thus far. So this made me realize that it was actually a good time to switch things up a bit. You know, there's, even in the worst moments, there's positive outcomes. So if you watched any of my previous videos, you know that I just recently lost 20 pounds, and that led me to building a new workout plan. And after giving it thought, I decided it's time to move into a controlled bulking phase. So you see, even though my body was stuck, my mind wasn't drifting anymore, because I created motivation for a new plan, which, like I mentioned, the timing was probably perfect anyways. So a new direction, sometimes things that make sense come out of nowhere at the strangest of times. And I feel like this one was one of those moments. I was on such autopilot before that, doing my usual day-to-day of not noticing that I was, it was time to probably switch things up. So now, moving forward, when I finally felt well enough to get back into the gym, this gym right here, I work out at home, I didn't try to go hard. I didn't want to put myself back in the situation I was, especially not knowing with what was going on. So I refused to play catch up. I went in with lightweight, very easy jogs, and bedtimes were a little difficult and needs some adjusting still. I'm finally getting back into that circadian rhythm with my bedtime, but it hasn't become second nature yet. So let's wrap this up. If you're injured, sick, or dealing with something unexpected right now, here's the move. Don't just sit there, waiting for things to magically fix themselves. Use the time the best you can. For me, I rebuilt my schedule, I reassessed some of my goals, and make a plan for when you're able to move again. See, missing workouts won't derail you. You can always get back to them. It's not like you're going to lose your gains overnight. Letting everything else slip will. So handle the pause the right way. Peace. Oh yeah, by the way, like, subscribe.